What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Doll Benfica podcast, episode number 162, our last episode of the season. With me tonight, Mr. Steve Santos. 2 nights in a row. This got to be some kind of a record.
2 weeks in a row. I know. I'm finally getting some consistency back.
That's right.
Look at that.
And Cristiano Oliveira was very saddened that the podcast is going to go on hiatus.
Yes. I have a hard time for those couple of weeks that we're off. But it's understandable. Steve needs his break, so we have to cater to the pretty boy of the podcast.
Steve anyway. Needs a break. Okay.
Anyway, on tonight's podcast, we will look back at the Taça de Cerveja, as Cristiano likes to call it. And we'll also discuss some moments of this. I guess we already discussed some moments of the season, but maybe some final thoughts on the season. And we will give our final awards of the season. Best defender, best attacker. A lot of you guys had a chance to go over to the website and vote. So we're going to discuss those, and we're going to also offer ours. And we'll divulge the results of the votes. So without further ado, let's get this started. We'll get right into the Liga, the Liga de Cerveja, the final of the Cerveja. Cristiano, the Taça de Cerveja, qual era? Qual é a marca?
Antes era Carlsberg, não era Carlsberg.
Não, mas per ti.
Pá, uma Heineken.
So, Heineken League Cup.
Heineken Cup, tá bom.
Heineken Cup, pronto. I don't know if we're going to infringe any trademarks there, but yeah. The Heineken Cup. What's going on, everybody? Welcome. People are starting to join in. Welcome to the final episode, as I've said. Anyway, I'll give you a lineup real quick. Real quick. Júlio César, Maxi, Luizão, Jardel, and Eliseu across the back. Samaris and Pizzi in the middle. Suleimani filled in for the injured Salvio, and Gaitan was on the other side. Jonas and Lima. Strongest lineup. Let's win this thing, Steve. No messing around.
Absolutely. Earlier in the season, I think we gave some minutes to some different players, but when it came to the final, JJ was like, this is another trophy going into the Cosme Damião Museum, and we want to take it with us. So that's what he went for.
So we have now won a record 6 trophies, Cristiano.
In a row.
6
or 5 in a row. I don't know. Whatever. 6 Taças de Cerveja in a row? No, we lost one somewhere.
Yeah.
We lost
6
one
out
somewhere.
of 7 or 6
yeah,
out of
we're
8.
6 out of 7. I think that's what it is. But the most impressive thing to me is, guys, and that's why I'm not surprised that JJ went in there with his strongest lineup. Obviously, you're missing Salvio, who's unfortunately hurt once again. But in the end, it might turn out all right that he's hurt, because he might stay for yet another season due to the fact that he's hurt. So that being said, JJ went in there full, gas to what is it? Pedal to the metal, I should say. And the most impressive thing here, man, it's when you think about JJ is the winningest coach in Benfica's history. Now, we're not talking about Académica, Vitória Setúbal, or, my Beira-Mar, or even Little Sporting, who got themselves the trophy this weekend. We're talking about Glorioso, man, Benfica. This is a storied club. And when you think back and right now, JJ stands alone at the top with 10 troféus. I mean, that's just unbelievable, and it's amazing. And this guy deserves everything that the club throws his way and a lot more, because he's been able to do a magnificent job with this ball club and with this great institution. And we just hope that this guy sticks around for a lot longer, because if we keep winning at this rate, man, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
You surpassed some names like Otto Gloria. I mean, guys that are legend coaches at Benfica that you've heard all your life. You've heard your father, you've heard your grandfather talk about these legendary coaches that Benfica has had, and here's JJ surpassing all of them.
And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there are some guys who will try to shit on our parade, but that being said, yes, you could throw at me that he doesn't have a European trophy like Otto Gloria, who's got 2 of them, and
different times.
Different times, absolutely. But still, you have to remember where this club was when JJ stepped in and where they're at now. Hate all you want, it's still a very impressive job by the dude.
Yeah, we're also at this moment in time, we're also in a privileged position to announce that JJ is going to be offered a 2-year contract and 1 with option.
2 year and a third.
2 year and a third of option.
Yes, sir.
Right now.
If that's true,
at what salary? I didn't
Well,
even
who cares?
Hey,
I
hey,
care
hey.
less.
We can't give up all the information.
It's not that even that it's being offered. It's that it might be we might have an agreement already on a 3-year deal with the third being an option.
Yeah.
So, if that is the case, I could care less what they pay him. Pay the guy the money. I don't think you're gonna get anyone else that's available right now, I should say, that's going to come into Benfica and do a better job than this guy. Yes, you could throw Carlo Ancelotti, who's available, but let's be realistic. Is he going to come to Benfica? No. So that being said, of all the coaches you could quite possibly get at Benfica, I think JJ is the right man for the job, and I could really care less what they pay him. I mean, pay him as what you want.
No, you heard it here first. 2 years with one of option. It's on the table, and from our sources, which we can either deny or confirm.
Can't deny nor confirm.
He's agreed to it already. So let's we'll probably see that soon. As we say that our viewers just shut up from 5 to about 10. Nice job.
I mean, anything could always go wrong in these negotiations. Obviously, last minute details could go wrong, especially if Benfica and Luis Felipe Vieira make this guy speak English at press conferences. He might just say, you know what, forget about this. But, it looks like they're all heading in the right direction. And I think it'd be a privilege as a Benfiquista to have this guy back one more season or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, however long this guy wants to stay. I think Benfica just give him a blank check and say, go ahead, bro, do what you got to do, work your magic. Because to me, at least, he's done an unbelievable job. And guys, for those of you that like to criticize JJ, yes, he might not play a lot of Portuguese guys, and yes, he's got some criticism. Our boy Steve likes to get on him for first performances in the Champions League and yada yada yada. We could go on and on, on and on. But just remember this: think back at this Benfica squad, late July, early August, just last year. Very beginning of the season that we just won the 34th Campeonato. This was a team that couldn't beat anyone. I mean, let alone, quality opposition. We all came into the season after selling 9 or 10 players and shaking in our boots, and still with the possibility of Enzo leaving, which he eventually did leave in January. With all this hanging over our head, the confidence had to be shot. It had to be as low as it's probably been in 3 to 4 years at this Benfica club, and to still come out on top and win the Campeonato after all that. Porto goes out and invests heavily, and you still win the Campeonato. I mean, the guy deserves all the credit. And so if you're still hating, bro, this is not the place to come and obviously voice your opinion, because I'll shut you down. I'm pretty sure Alfredo shut you down. Even Steve, who has his criticisms of JJ, and some of them are warranted. I'm not going to try to say here they're not, but even Steve, I'm pretty sure will vouch for the guy. The guy's just been unbelievable.
Yeah, but Steve, I'm sorry. I know I'm sure you wanted to add, but before we go on a huge tangent, I just wanted to get the Maritimo game
Go
in.
back to the game.
but anyways, Steve, not a very different team from what we saw in the last game at Stade de Luz, but still a very competitive, a very up for it Maritimo team that we played against this past Friday.
I don't think the 11s were much different, but the attitude was very, very different. They were a lot hungrier, to the point that I think they were quite dirty. There was a lot of late tackles, a lot of getting stuck in when you didn't need to. It was ugly at times. But JJ mentioned, I believe it was in the pre-game presser, that he was expecting a completely different game from Maritimo. It was a lot tighter. I mean, the first game was very open, both by us and by them. This game, there was a title on up for grabs, and we played it in a different way, and so did they. We ended up scoring, what was it, sometime in the first half, and it looked like it was going to be comfortable, but it didn't end up being that case. Even after they went down to 10 men, if anything, that galvanized them. They looked better after they were down to 10, and they caused us a few more problems. So,
yeah,
you can't compare the two games. They were completely different.
Yeah, what I think is that if Benfica had shut down the game earlier, I think that maybe they would have kept their attitude at bay. But I think that them going down to 10 men and seeing that the game was still within grasp, and seeing that how teams sometimes they have difficulty playing against teams with 10 men, they said, well, hey, what do we got to lose here? This game is still one goal away from us playing another 30 minutes. So let's just go at it. And Benfica kept missing opportunities, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So that I don't think they had anything to lose. I just think that, and it's a final, you põe a carne todo no assador, right?
So they like to say. There was some obvious flaws in our game. Gaetan had a subpar match. I think because of that, we probably didn't create as many chances as we'd like to. I think the way when they went down to 10 men, if anything, it became even harder for Jonas to come in between lines and receive the ball. I don't know how it actually worked out to be that way, but we just struggled to actually create things, and they took advantage. I mean, they got the goal they needed, and they had us worrying a bit for the better part of the second half. I think Ola John scored in the 79th minute.
Yeah, no, it was late. It was late in the game that he scored.
73rd or 79th.
You know what? It was a
80th.
very nice goal from a very unlikely hero. I mean, Ola John, I think if we look at our polls, he's probably one of the highest, if not the highest, for the biggest disappointment. And for him to score a goal in that context, after even as soon as he came on, he actually started to play pretty well. I remember him picking out a cross to the back post for Maxi, where the diving header went just wide. He played pretty well. So for a guy who's had a pretty off-color season, it was nice for him to score the winning goal.
And this was quite possibly, according to rumors, his last game for Benfica, because there are rumors that he'll be on his way to the EPL and joining Swansea City next season. So if this was his last game for the Glorioso, I mean, appreciate the goal, and thank you very much for helping us get yet another trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and you could tell the emotion that when he scored the goal, he took off his shirt and went straight to the fans.
Was it emotion, or did he want to show off his new tattoos?
I don't know, man. I don't. I have. I don't know. I'm not gonna go in. I'm not gonna go in that route. But I mean,
let me ask you guys a question though. Benfica obviously just last week totally demolished this team. Started to lose 4-1. You think that this team maybe played a little possum last week and really didn't come out, and the coach didn't come out with their full game plan? Because to them is like, it is what it is. Whether we win this game or not, we're safe. We're not going anywhere. Yeah. Benfica's champion. Let's just try to study them a little bit and maybe not come out full throttle. And because they had a final coming up in just a week. So I mean, any possibility that maybe something like that, Steve?
Quite possible. I mean, like I said before, they were games of two completely different circumstances. The only thing we cared about was creating as many chances as possible for Jonas to win top scorer. And like you say, they didn't really have any interest in the game itself, other than maybe to study some of our processes or whatnot. So yeah, if you want to call it playing possum, and I guess that's like a boxing type term, sure, why not?
I mean, I'll tell you this much. The one thing that was consistent with what Benfica have done all season long is that if you go to last week's game, obviously at home where Benfica's been absolutely lights out, they dominated. And then obviously playing a Taça game in Coimbra, which is not Maritimo's home field, but still, nonetheless, it's technically a road game for Benfica because it's not played at Estádio da Luz. And you can see this was a totally different game when they're away from Estádio da Luz. I don't know if it's the fans. I don't know what it is, because say what you want about Benfica, regardless of where they go in the country, with the exception of, Estádio do Dragão, José Alvalade and maybe Guimarães a little bit, everything else is pretty much red, and everything else is the support is, 70-30 Benfica. So it's not like they don't get the support on the road, but it just seemed like the totally different team. So I don't want to say it's the fans. It's a totally different mentality.
Yeah. It's funny. If you look at that match, it was like a little window onto everything that was happening in the season. All of our road games were always slightly off color. I mean, I can't remember many road games where we played extremely, extremely well compared to the way we played at home. There was always the missed passes, the Gaetan not playing at his greatest, maybe even Jonas not at the same level as he plays at home. It was just like it has been all season. And even if you take into account some performances, Jardel was a rock as always, but he misplaced a pass or two, although he was, I got to give him credit for the goal. Great little piece of skill to bring it down and then cross it. That was beautiful. Samaris was his usual self. I think there was no surprises in the game compared to all of our other away games. It was just it was as to be expected because it was just the type of performances that we've been putting in away from home throughout the season.
Well, according to our very good friend here of the podcast, Patrick Kendrick, he was talking up Pop Sick. He's saying he's having a very good game. At least he did so to me on Twitter. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or
No,
not.
he played pretty well.
But he was, he came on Twitter. He said he had a very good game. I also heard, Jardel. A lot of people were praising Jardel for this game. So there were guys that did stand out, Steve. But like you said, the normal guys, you're accustomed to seeing a very good performance from the Samaris and the Jonases of the world, regardless whether they're on the road or at home. Those are just players that are a whole different level. The majority of the guys on the field, so you expect those guys to keep that even level of play throughout any competition. So.
Yeah. I don't think we played that bad. I just think that we wasted a lot of opportunities. I mean, it wasn't the best game. But I think we wasted a lot of opportunities, Steve. I think that
we did.
And I think that if we put away some of those opportunities, then our game becomes more attractive. I think because the team becomes more relaxed. Yeah. There's also backing off from Maritimo at that point. If we go up 2-0, 3-0, there's a backing off from Maritimo, which allows us to touch the ball. But, Maritimo, I was surprised with Maritimo's attitude, but it was expected for a game that's a final. It was expected from Maritimo. And, we know that what Maritimo's capable of. They got more than a couple of good players, and they put up a good fight. And even with 10 guys, they were able to come back. And, I kind of saw things a little even at the end with them scoring the goal. But thankfully, Olajan came through. So, and we've said here so many times that Olajan is a perfect guy off the bench because it always seems that he has a good read and he understands JJ's instructions, whatever that means.
I mean, I've told you guys multiple times, when you come off the bench, the pressure is not exactly on you. Because a lot of times you come into a game with the nerves and the butterflies in your stomach. And once you sit there for a while, just like you get into the game, the initial 10, 15 minutes, everyone just gets a touchy-feely, see how the other team's going to come out and play. That's normally how teams like to attack the game. And once you get through those first 10, 15 minutes, it's like everyone relax. Okay, all right, let's play our game. And it's the same thing with guys off the bench. I mean, they still have the nerves, just like anyone else is starting. Once they sit on the bench, a half hour, 45 minutes, 50, 60 minutes, even 70 minutes. All of a sudden now it's like, okay, I've been here long enough. All of a sudden you already know what to expect. And, the game doesn't seem as nerve-wracking as it initially did from the beginning. So Olajan's that type of player comes in and it just seems like the pressure's not on him. And he's much more relaxed. Just go back and see every game from when he's a starter to coming off the bench. It seems to me he's a totally different player, man. And if he does stay at Benfica, I think that's something that JJ, whomever is the coach at the time, hopefully utilizes and takes advantage of and notices that from the get-go.
Yeah, absolutely. So last game of the season, and that's it. What a way to finish then with a trophy, another trophy. 3 trophies for us. This season, the Super Cup was ours, the championship, obviously, and then the Taça da Liga. It was a shame that we couldn't be in the Taça de Portugal final and win that. But, nonetheless, I think I saw a stat on Twitter that we had won the past six or seven.
6 national.
7 domestic titles in a row. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we won. Trying to think. Did we win this? We won. Well, we won 4 last year, right?
So the only one we didn't win out of two
seasons, which was
the Taça de Portugal this year.
Right.
Okay.
So we won 7 domestic titles in a row.
Okay.
Then of course Sporting won the.
It depends when you saw that stat. When I saw that, it's 6, but obviously we hadn't played the Taça de Cerveja final yet. So after clinching the Taça de Cerveja, that was 7 of the last 8 titles that you could possibly win in Portugal. Yes.
Yeah. So let me give you some numbers on Benfica's season real quick. 57 games overall, that including the preseason games. 37 wins, 13 losses. 5 of those 13 losses came in the preseason. We lost 3 times for the league. 114 goals scored, 42 goals allowed. 8 of those were against Arsenal in the preseason, if I'm not mistaken. Was it 8-0 against Arsenal?
No, we lost 5-1.
5-1.
5-1.
No, I'm talking. Okay, so the Emirates Cup, I think.
Yes, we're talking. Yeah, they lost like 5-1. Sanogo, whatever his name is. Yeah, like 4 goals.
Yeah. In the league, 86 scored, 16 allowed. Also 7 ties for the season. Jonas was the best scorer with 31 goals. And Jardel was the player that played the most minutes with 3,900 minutes, 43 starts. That's quite impressive for Jardel. Usually we see players like a Luizão or even a keeper to have the most minutes. But, I mean, you see this guy, Jardel, Steve. Unbelievable. He's had quite an unbelievable season.
You got to give him credit where it's due. He's been extremely steady in the Portuguese league. That is why he's racked up all the minutes that he has. He stayed injury free. I'd like to see his yellow cards. I didn't get a chance to look at that, but I don't think he even got suspended for a match, which is for a central defender is quite impressive. Another stat that for me just stands out that I heard during the Taça da Liga broadcast was Jonas, 31 goals in 35 games total.
Yes, sir.
That is quite the stat, man. For a guy who, especially as you watch the game and he pops up in all areas of the pitch, just helping us play connecting football, helping us give an option, all the awesome work he does away from goal, has a goal scoring record like that. I mean, phenomenal.
Yep.
For a guy who came on a free. I know we've said it over and over again, and I know a Senor Cristiano is going to come after me and say that I chose Saviola over Jonas, but I got to take it back. I mean, Jonas has been absolutely fantastic to a level that we never seen Saviola at Benfica.
You know, man, I got to tip my cap to you.
I'm not taking anything back.
I got to tip my cap to you, Steve, because out of all the impressive things you've done on the pod here throughout the years since I've been around, right? I think the most impressive one was right now. You're a good mind reader. You know what I'm saying? Because I was sharpening my nails. I was getting ready to come after you, and you're like, someone said I take Saviola. That's impressive, Steve. That's impressive. You're able to read my mind.
In his prime was a fantastic player. Just before he came to us, he was.
But he wasn't a goal machine.
No, he's not like this guy, man. Jonas was an absolute breath of fresh air because you weren't like we've seen Jonas play. We knew he was going to be a player that's very good in the Portuguese league. Had fantastic touch, all that, and everything else, right? But we did not expect to see 31 goals out of 35 matches. I mean, Chris, not in your wildest dreams. There's no way you could have predicted a number like that.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I mean, you know what? I got, again, I tip my cap to you. I tip it to Alfredo. He was right. He said he wasn't going to get more than 7 goals, which he did in Natasa. I think he only got 6. I think you were right. I think you were right on with that. Now, listen, I expected the guy to score anywhere from 14 to 20. I'm not even going to try to BS anyone. That's where I expected him to be. But yeah, even I myself, I didn't think he was going to score 31. I mean, the guy scored practically in every game. I mean, the guy was just lights out. 31 goals in 35 games played. I don't care what league. I don't care what country. I don't care what you do. That's impressive. And it just everything worked out for him. I mean, without the guy, I don't think Benfica would be, claiming this 34th Campeonato. He was just phenomenal. Not taking anything away from anyone else, but you could definitely tell when the guy has the ball at his feet, there's a totally different game. I mean, you could tell the guy was levels above everyone else.
But let me ask you this: you watched him at Valencia. Mm-hmm. Was he that good at Valencia?
I told you.
Or were you just one of the guys?
Go back and listen to the first pods when he first arrived. And I tried telling you guys he was the best player of Valencia, arguably for the past 2-3 years. The guy was good. I mean, obviously he wasn't scoring at the pace that he's scoring here, but you could tell when the guy had the ball at his feet, it was instant danger. Not at all times, obviously, but for figure of speech, exaggeration a little bit here and there. Every time the guy had the ball at his feet, you could tell it was magic. He was creating something. So, and it's not like they didn't bring him back because the guy couldn't play football. It was because he was a knucklehead, and obviously he was able to keep that under wraps at Benfica, and I'm glad he did.
Well, he didn't have anybody racking him up.
Well, there's no Ever Benegas on this Benfica squad. I think.
Hey, listen, it worked out for
the most part. For the most part, I think that we have a pretty likable bunch of players on our squad. We don't
maybe Enzo. Maybe Enzo, maybe Enzo, if Enzo had stayed,
Yeah.
Enzo comes across as the type of guy who can rub people the wrong way.
Moxie's not rubbing people the wrong way, but you do something, he'll definitely crack you upside the head. Moxie's the type of dude that takes no crap from anybody. But Steve, it's funny you mentioned Banega. It worked out for both of them. Jonas came to Portugal, had an outstanding year, won the Campeonato. Banega goes to Sevilla for 3 million euros, whatever, which is relatively cheap for a player of his caliber. They finish top 6 or top 5, whatever it was in La Liga, and he goes over and he wins the Europa League. So, I mean, it worked out for both guys. Obviously, they can't be together in the same room, but they're still, both of them, I'll take them at Benfica all day. I mean, easy. Put Banega at Benfica at number 8. Forget about it.
Banega's a player that I've always wanted at Benfica, but a bit of a hothead, and I don't know how you deal with Jesus, but that's another podcast in itself. Transfer rumors.
I mean, I think Jesus will confuse the hell out of him. But his Spanish, Portuguese, English mix, I mean, I think the dude would just look at him like, eh? And he just get on with playing. I think, any player, man, regardless of whether you're a knucklehead or not, think about it. Every majority of these troublemakers, their first season, it's relatively clean because they're coming in, they're feeling it out. They still don't have that comfort level. They don't have that sense of seniority on the team. It's year 2, year 3 now when they've been around and they know what to expect. That's when the problems start to arise again. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But so far for year 1, spectacular. Same thing with Julio Cesar, another guy that some people criticize and didn't think he would be good. But both of them guys, I mean, very key players to Benfica winning this 34th Campeonato. All right, right now we're going to run to halftime report by our good friend.
Halftime headlines.
Report headlines, same thing. Nelson, who always does a spectacular job. So, got to press the buttons. Here we go.
And now, the halftime headlines.
This week, we kick off looking at our promising youngster, Hani Mukhtar. He's been featured once for the first team, and that was in the final game of the season against Maritimo. He's currently spending time with the U20 German national team. He snagged a hat trick recently against the Fiji Islands in a landslide 8-1 victory. Hopefully, we'll see him in our starting 11 sooner than later. Nas modalidade, Benfica's basketball team defeated Guimarães in Portugal's National League finals in 3 straight games, thus bringing another title back to Lisboa. We might have to start building an addition onto a Damião after this season. And finally, we look at our green-striped friends. Sporting won the Taça da Liga, beating Braga on penalties. Sporting winning a Taça is like the one kid who's 16, but he plays with the little kids, and then he nets a hat trick and celebrates. The last time Sporting won a trophy, Kung Fu Panda was still number 1 at the box office. America hadn't had a black president yet, and Amy Winehouse won a Grammy. It took Sporting 7 years to win the same amount of trophies that Benfica won last week. Congratulations. And that's all for this week.
All right. Halftime headlines.
Very good.
A little bit of too much of Sporting. I should have heard that one before.
No, but very good. But it's funny that he mentions that Hani Mukhtar scores a hat trick, right, against Fiji, and then he says that Sporting winning is like scoring a hat trick against a bunch of bums and then celebrating.
There you go.
Which is the same thing, Nelson. I'm sorry, Fiji, not exactly the powerhouse, but yeah, we're glad to see the dude scoring and yeah, hopefully get some more minutes. I don't know about start next year, but hopefully he'll get some more minutes. It looks impressive.
Let's start heading for the finish line. We'll get into our player awards, but before we each divulge what our choices were, I want to go ahead and just go over some of the results that we had on the website. Christian, you want to say that?
Just for Steve, who wondered before aloud how many yellow cards Jardella got on a year. According to our good friend Steve, well, you are a good friend, Steve. You are, but our other good friend Timo. He said only 3 yellow cards in the Campeonato, so impressive nonetheless. I mean, I know some guys asked on Twitter about Jardel and Garay, and again, I wouldn't compare the 2 players. I take Garay all day of the week, but Jardel had a phenomenal season, man. Say what you want. I mean, look at his year last year. The guy was absolutely outstanding. The numbers speak for themselves. least goals against. I mean, Benfica, whatever. I don't want to sit here and talk about Jardim all day because I don't have much to praise the guy on, but he had a spectacular season.
Yeah, before we move on to the next topic, João Gomes, our good friend João Gomes, who watches the pod and listens to the pod, he was present at the final in Coimbra, and he says that he's been to every final so far. He also was at Stade de Luz when the players arrived from Coimbra, and he spoke to some of them. So we're very jealous of João.
Grande máquina.
Grande máquina. Okay, and here's one for you. I don't know, Steve. I don't know if you've seen the Quaresma spread, but Sergio is asking us what's more criminal: the Quaresma cover today, or Jonas not going to the Copa America? What do you think, Steve?
You know what, man? I'm not too familiar with what Brazil has to offer in the striker position, but of the players I do know, I can't see how Jonas didn't go. I really, with the stats that he pulled up, the type of football he played all year. I mean, we all know the Portuguese league isn't as strong as some other leagues, but I'm sure of it that he's has at least one or two strikers in there from Brazil, and I would say that our leagues are comparable, the Brazilian league to the Portuguese league. So,
no, I take the Portuguese league all day over the Brazilian league. I mean, listen, there's more talent.
I said compare.
Not even compare. I mean, the game's so much different, much quicker, much tougher tactically. Fine. Guys walk up and down the field in Brazil. You don't see that.
There you go. So even more evidence to my side that, I would say that's criminal that he doesn't go.
I don't think so, Steve. I think if it was the World Cup rather than the Copa America, I think there's a good shot that he'd be there because the ultimate goal for Brazil is to win the World Cup. If you look at Brazil's past squads for the Copa America, they bring in a lot of youngsters. It's kind of a way to, step up and let's see what you got. So I'm really not surprised. Yeah, it would have been nice to see him get there, and the guy definitely had the stats and he warranted a spot on that team. But like I said, I've seen Brazil go in there with a lot of guys that, they just get to run with them, see what you got under pressure. And if they step up, they'll be there for the next 2 years, make the run for the World Cup. If not, let it go. And again, if it was just the World Cup where the ultimate goal is to win the World Cup, where they don't care about building for the future, where it's about winning the trophy this season, I think there's a good shot he'd be on a team.
Sergio, I'm perfectly fine. I think more criminal would have been him coming back to Benfica tired at the beginning of next season. That's more criminal. I'm fine with him not going. I'm fine with Gaetan not going to the Copa America, regardless of where he's going elsewhere or not. But I mean, that just hurts us. I mean, we've seen the way Maxi has come back from competitions like this, and Maxi is never the same person at least the first half of the season, or maybe the first quarter of the season. And Steve agrees with me.
You know what's criminal?
Absolutely.
You know what's criminal, Steve? We have two Brazilian centrais who we could sit here and praise all day and night. And the one thing that Brazil doesn't have is centrais. How come Jardel didn't get a call-up?
That's Maluk.
Yeah. And what about your boy, David Luiz?
David Luiz could go on vacation for the next 2 years. He'll be there in the World Cup in 2 years.
It's funny.
Hey, David Luiz needs somebody to play alongside him.
Yeah, Thiago Silva.
He's hurt.
David Luiz needs to get laid.
Yeah. Miranda, they have so many guys. I was just trying to make it.
Anyway, let's get
needs to get laid.
David Luiz needs to get laid. He said that he's not getting laid until he marries.
Serio?
Yeah, you didn't read this? He came out. He came out to a French magazine and said that he's
full of shit.
That he's lost his virginity, but ever since he's been dating this girl, that they're gonna wait till they get married.
Think Falaco, guys. Sergio Mantu Protetor, whatever, Sergio R81 says, Dunga picked the striker playing in China, Diego Tardelli for the Copa. China. And again, I think you go look at his age, he's not in his 30s, and I think it's along the lines of what I said. He's trying out new players because Brazil, if they win the Copa America, phenomenal. But if they don't, their ultimate goal is winning the World Cup, and it's about trying new players out at this point.
Trust me, I'm good with him not going.
I'm okay with him not going. The question is it criminal? Does he deserve to be there? I'd say he deserves to be there.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to go hunting on Google to find out for sure, but I'm pretty sure Diego Tardelli is actually quite old himself. But we can check that after the podcast to be sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into our season awards. And we put up a poll on the website. I think it's still up. But before I was going over the results and the votes. It was a total of 87 votes, so a good turnout for the poll. And I'll just give you the categories: best defender, best midfielder, best attacker, most improved, biggest disappointment, revelation player, and MVP were the categories that you could vote on. And I'll just read you the results that from the website. For best defender, Luizão with 44 votes. Best midfielder, Gaetan with 64 votes. Best attacker, Jonas with 76 votes. Most improved, Jardel with 39 votes, with Samaris a quick second with 33 votes. Biggest disappointment, Ola John, 43 votes. Revelation player, PT had 26. The other one was Samaris.
I'm showing
at
28 right now, so they're tied.
Okay, so when I tabulated this maybe about a hour and a half ago, that's how they were. And the MVP, Jonas, 48. So we'll go through what each one of us and what we thought our words go to. Chris, you want to go first? Best defender for you?
I mean, obviously, it's Popsicle. No, I'm joking. I guess Luizão. You got to go with Luizão. Luizão, for me, it's always going to be Luizão and Moxie. Those two guys, they wear their heart on their sleeves, and they're just phenomenal players. So either one of those guys for me would be the choice. And Jardel had a spectacular season. So, I mean.
Moxie and Luizão, you said?
Yeah, Moxie and Luizão. Either one of them, to me, they both deserve all the credit in the world.
Steve?
I went with Moxie. I just found he got some crucial goals for us. He was fantastic going forward. Had his best for me. As far as back as I can remember, he had his best year in a Benfica jersey. I mean, he was just consistent from day one to the end of the season. Always fantastic. Always offering himself on the offensive side of the ball. Very few mistakes, which he used to be quite suspect to, especially in the years like you mentioned after a Copa America or a World Cup, where he was just sluggish, maybe mentally wasn't even all there as well, just tired, like mentally tired, physically tired. But this year he was just, like Chris likes to say, lights out, man. I thought he was fantastic throughout the year.
Yeah, and he kept his composure too a lot, Steve. I mean, every year we've seen him. You know, you can tell you can still call some of his tackles this year a little bit kamikaze. But, you know, he wasn't seeing the regular red that we're accustomed to see him get every single year. So he was able to keep all that under wraps. And, I mean, the guy's just a spectacular leader. Even when he's not having his best game, you could tell my man's giving it 100% at all times. And so he's definitely a leader, if not by voice, definitely by example. And that's the type of guy that you want at Benfica.
Yeah.
And that's why we need to re-sign him.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. That's without a doubt, Steve.
Yeah. We, for me, I think either one of those guys. But I think that out of both of them, I think I've never really I felt the captain, Luizão, as I have felt this year. I thought that he was very important as the captain this year. He's really the figurehead of this team. I thought that for a team that, excuse me, that lacked some talent and didn't have the depth that they had last year, I think that unity and leadership was something that was very important. I think both of those guys brought both of those things. But I think that Luizão, I think that this year I felt them being more of a captain than any other year. That's what I mean.
I mean, I don't want to say this. Well, I am going to say I don't want to sound like I'm knocking Jardel, but pretty sure if you go by the numbers. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to knock Luizão, but by the numbers, Jardel had better numbers than Luizão.
Oh, yeah, better numbers, but maybe
tackles and every minutes, everything. I mean, the guy had
that Luizão was more consistent performing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think part of what makes Jardel look as good as he is that he's playing next to Luizão. I mean, Luizão was such a fantastic organizer on the pitch. He has the defensive line just so well, with JJ's help, obviously, but they're just so well routined. I mean, just the way they press up when there's different situations where the ball is either pressed or not pressed within the midfield and whatnot. It's just everything's like a well-oiled machine. And yes, JJ's behind it all, but Luizão was the man who executes it all on the pitch. I mean, you can't hear Luizão. Sorry, you can't hear JJ on the pitch all the time. Push up, push up. That's coming from Luizão. So
No doubt.
for
But
me, Luizão, I read something that is going to piss off a lot of our Jardel lovers, but I read something that I have to agree with a little bit. Any dope looks good next to Luizão just because Luizão is that good.
bro, again, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking Luizão. And I think
that wasn't where I was going.
Yeah, no, but I am. What I'm trying to say, what I'm going to say, I don't want to knock Luizão. And again, I love the guy. And even though in the back of my mind, I still think he's going to leave for a big payday, I'm hoping he stays. And right now, the guy's been at Benfica. He's top 4, top 5 ever minutes played for Benfica, games played. The guy's just, one of these dudes that's going to go down Benfica lore for the history. He's going to be in the Cosmo Damião for sure, right? That being said, though, a few times that Luizão got caught out of position, Jardel's there. Jardel's the quicker guy. Jardel's the one come. I don't want to make it seem like Jardel doesn't deserve his credit. Okay, let's praise Luizão all we can, but let's not sit here and say that any dope looks good next to Luizão, because we've had great players play alongside Luizão, and we didn't call them dopes. Now, I'm not calling Jardel a great player. And guys, if we go back 6-7 months ago, I didn't want any part of Jardel. But the fact is, he proved me wrong, and he had a spectacular season. So rather than knocking him and rather than call him a dope, let's just say, you know what? For the majority, all 4 of our defenders had a pretty good season. To me, Moxie stands out a little bit. Luizão, the fantastic leader. Jardel, I think if you're talking about a surprise player, I mean, anyone surprise you more than what this guy did? Look at his numbers. Look at what the guy did for this team.
Chris, he was completely out of depth in the Champions League at almost every match.
But you could say that for 90% of the squad.
But that's what I'm trying to explain. It's all about levels, and Jardel's level is the Portuguese league, and he was fantastic in the Portuguese league. But if you are relying on him to be something outside of that, you're going to find him wanting more often.
But I don't think we are. I think the question is, who's the defender that your best defender for the year? That's all it is, and that takes every competition into play here.
And who did you choose?
I think I stated it. I said I want to give it to Moxie, and I want to give Jardel their due respect. But at the same time, I don't agree with what you read, which is any dope looks good alongside Luizão. That's all I'm trying. That's why I'm stepping up for Jardel. You know what I mean? Because I don't think it's fair, because the guy had a really good season. I'm his biggest critic. I mean, I was absolutely shitting my pants every time this guy was on the field at the beginning of the season. But I have to call a spade, and I think we'd all agree. The dude definitely turned the corner.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying, Steve.
All right.
I'm not picking on you, bro. I love you.
No worries.
Moving on to our next category, midfielder, Chris. Oh, I'll go with Steve since Chris went first. Steve, best midfielder for you, dude.
Samaris. I mean, it's a question of most improved player and best midfielder. The first 7 or 8 games, Samaris looked very confused. Didn't really know where to position himself. Wasn't choosing the right passes. Looked like he even had lead feet. But as the season wore on, and he started probably to understand JJ better with his Portuguese lessons and just understand what he was being asked of on the pitch. I mean, right now, for me, he's probably, if not the best 6 in the league, he's up there. I mean, I choose him over Casemiro. I would choose him over William Carvalho on a normal day. William Carvalho has his days where he looks like an absolute beast, but on a normal day, I choose him over him as well. So
yeah, I envision Samaris on his first Portuguese lesson that he was so curious about what certain words meant that he goes up to his teacher, and the first couple words that he wanted to know was what foda-se and caralho meant, because he heard that a lot from JJ.
For sure.
For me, midfielder, obviously, I mean, we can't get away with. I think Steve Samaris is a good shot, but I think Kaitan has absolutely been the playmaking force in midfield for me.
I agree. I think Kaitan was our most consistent midfielder. Yes, he had a couple of downers, but a lot of them had to do with injury. But when the guy ticks on all cylinders, Benfica are a totally different club. And Steve, yes, I was a big Samaris critic. And I kind of change. I'm not as high on him as you are yet. But I have to be fair. The guy definitely turned the corner. But I don't know if it was 7-8 games, Steve. To me, I could recall in January and February, we were still knocking the guy. I think that's when he finally came around. Was right around that time. Because it was only after Enzo left that he turned it around. I mean, so to me, he's a little bit more than 7 games. So I can't say that a guy that played well for the last 2.5 months, I can't say he's the midfielder of the year. To me, it's Gaetan. And then everybody else comes into, listen, over the last 2.5 months, you could definitely say Samaris was probably the most impressive because the guy made leaps and bounds over his previous performances. But to me, that the season is from August till May. And I can't say that he was there. I can't say that.
And when I think Gaetan, for whatever reason, I'm thinking as the more of attacking player. So I had him locked in my head as an attacker, but I would have chose someone else ahead of him anyway. So, but whatever. I'm sticking to Samaris, no problem.
Yeah, you've always been a big Samaris guy.
I have a thing for that type of position, as you may know. So,
I mean, there was a point where I thought, I'm pretty sure if he goes back on Twitter and I said, that's it, I made up my mind. This guy cannot play soccer. Yeah. He looked like he was shaky as shaky can be. And then obviously the guy, something went off. I don't know if it was the language. I don't know if it was the comfort zone, but something went off and his game definitely picked up and Benfica's game picked up. But like I said, Steve, I could only recall. I might be wrong, but I think it was only after Enzo left, which that means that was in January. So I wasn't a big fan of him until then. So right now, my vote is Gaetan.
Yeah. I think, I said to Gaetan also. Best attacker, I think it's probably consensual with all of us.
Derlei?
Nelson Oliveira.
Oh, guys. Yo, he's got a picture like David Luiz now at the beach with his hair all crazy. You see it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Jonas, obviously, for the obvious reasons. I think that no one is going to discord on this one.
Fun fact about Jonas. Did you know he was born in Bubadeiro?
No.
Bubadeiro.
Is that Xavier's town?
He was born in Bubadeiro, São Paulo, Brasil, cara.
It's quite
Bebedouro. O gajo é bebedão. That's why. Listen, by the way, Steve, he's 31. The other clown, Tancredi, whatever his name is, whatever, the Bazooka. 30. So, yeah, sorry. I don't know. I guess, the other guy might have been a teammate of Dunga's at some point, and Dunga's calling up all his teammates. That's all I can think of. I don't know.
Dunga's a clown.
Makes no sense.
Most improved, and I'll go for Jardel for me is most improved, like we said.
That was gay the first
He turned the corner for sure.
Yeah.
Turn the corner. And Steve, I understand what you're saying.
Oh,
but I mean, this is a guy that also played a lot more games without Luizão.
And Steve, when you think about most improved, think about this. This is why he gets the most improved vote from me. At the beginning of the season, I didn't want to see him on the field. And now we're all comfortable. It's like, Kia, Jardel starting alongside Luizão. It's not even a question. So to me, if that's not most improved, I don't know what most improved is.
Okay.
Steve, go.
I chose Samaris. It's going to sound like a love-in, but for me, Jardel he's at the level that I expected him to be. I mean, he is super fast. He's more powerful than 95% of the forwards he's going to face in the league. He's been with JJ for 3 to 4 years now. He's at the level that I'm expecting a guy with his abilities to be at in our team. I'm not counting him most improved. Samaris, you can argue with a 10 million transfer tag on him, he should be at the level that he is now. But given what I saw at the beginning of the season to what I saw till now, I think that the difference in quality is very drastic. That's why I choose Samaris. A close second for me would have to be Eliseu. I mean, Eliseu hasn't been fantastic, but he started off the season for me quite shakily. A lot of mistakes, a lot of bad positioning, a lot of giveaways, but from end of January till now has been spot on. You haven't really caught him out too many times.
Yeah, but Steve, let's be fair. And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. I think this is just my executive decision. Okay, I think that guys like Eliseu and Samari shouldn't be. They should be excluded from this most improved because we didn't know what to expect. So I can't say they're most improved.
Samari's in Eliseu.
Yeah, because this is the first year.
You didn't know what to expect from Eliseu?
No, what I'm trying to say is the first year at Benfica. So I can't say most improved. I think to me, most improved should be based from last year. Players that were on the team to this year, most improved.
All right, could be.
That's what I'm saying because those two guys weren't on the team.
All right, it could be somebody that's improved throughout the season. too, as Steve is looking at it.
Well, but that's what I said. I'm not blaming Steve. Steve's right. He's going by the. But I think those guys should be excluded.
I think that Samaris, for the price that we bought him for, $10 million, he had better be good.
Yeah.
I think that his performances in the beginning of the season were very disappointing. But when he came to his own, I'm not trying to take anything away from how he's grown as a player, how he's grown into JJ's system. But a guy that we paid $10 million for, that's exactly what we expect for. Some guys are up for it, and some guys really raise up because of their quality, because of their technical ability, because of their football brain. Other guys just don't know what to do. And I thought that Samaris was great, when he started hitting stride and he started understanding what was needed of him, much like when we saw Matic come into and replace Javi Garcia. It was all there. And for a guy that's absolutely crucial in JJ's system, and in the system, that position is absolutely crucial. I thought that he did great, but I think most improved for me, definitely Jardel.
Yeah, again, Steve, you're right. I'm not disagreeing.
Well,
I just think that those players should have. I think for me, most improved should be based on players that were on the roster.
Yeah,
guys that you really didn't expect anything from, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, just like Jardel per se. Yeah. Like, wow, this guy's starting. I mean, we all wanted to see Lisandro Lopez. Even Cesar at the beginning of the season, like, I don't want to see no part of Jardel. And all of a sudden, you're so comfortable. Here I am bragging about the guy. So I think that's most improved. Somebody's $10 million. I mean, really improved. No, Eliseo, like they weren't there. So
I also think that if I understand what you're saying, Steve, but I also think that if Jardel hadn't elevated his level, I think that he loses a spot to Lisandro. I know that Lisandro fought with some injuries. I know that Cesar fought with some injuries, but at one point we saw these guys stepping in and doing an okay job for guys that hadn't played a lot. So I think that if Jardel hadn't been at that level or even raised up his game, I think that he loses a spot. So, but I understand exactly what you're saying. I understand everything that you're saying, Steve.
But you know what? But see, in order for this guy to be Steve's most improved, it means that he had to let Steve down at some point.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
He let me down against Zenit in person, passing the ball to Hulk. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe he foresaw something.
Yeah.
Where Hulk maybe he's at Benfica. No, I'm joking.
Next category. Biggest disappointment, Cristiano, for you. Who's the biggest disappointment?
Wow, biggest disappointment. On a personal level, right? I'm gonna put two guys that I expected to play a lot more and they didn't. And it's not because they bad players. Just apparently everybody else ahead of them played better, and don't want to criticize them. But I was disappointed in that Lilo didn't get a lot more playing time. Lisandro Lopez, I was disappointed. So I guess just
Why
like
is that, Chris?
Because I really thought that he would be the next guy to step in for Garay and sit alongside Luizão. And I thought, and I still, right now, even after the spectacular season that Jardel did, I'm not sure I wouldn't go into the summer and try to plug him in and maybe making this guy my future central. I still think the guy is a phenomenal. I mean, listen, he's not at the superstar level, but let's just stick to the Portuguese league. I think he's a phenomenal player. I think the guy comes out of the back playing with the ball at his feet. He's very composed for his age. So I like him. I absolutely like the guy. And the other guy that I was very disappointed in, man, it was Cristante. I was hoping that he'd grab that 8th position, because we seen even the 6th position. We seen the Samaris of the world struggle. We saw once Enzo left, everyone struggle at that position. And I was hoping that he'd grab the bulls by the horn, because but that's a personal decision. I follow this guy. I'm a UJC Milan fan. I follow him for a couple of years now. So that's personal. So I really don't. I don't know, man. I don't know. I really, it wasn't that big of a disappointment for me. I don't know. Ola John, I know everybody voted Ola John, but did you really expect Ola John to start over Gaetan and Savio?
No, but I was expecting better performances a little bit more consistently from Ola John after being at Benfica for a while, going to Hamburg, and then not working out. I thought we'd see more commitment, more drive from Ola John than what we've seen. Ola John was a bit too hit and miss. I think, if anything, his best season was his first season with us. He was my biggest disappointment. I'm just jumping in right now. I really like that someone put selling Bernardo Silva. It looks like they were really trying to get me to vote for that, but I'm assuming that's not exactly legit since we have to choose a player. So it's definitely Ola John.
Most disappointing though. After all the hype, right? Talk about players that with hype. Bebe.
God no.
The guy's a Manchester United savior. Think about that. You know what I mean? Think about that. They Manchester United chose to sign him over James Rodriguez.
Of all the guys we signed in the offseason, he was the one I was the most upset about. So I couldn't call him a disappointment at all. He was exactly what I was expecting.
Actually, Ola John was pretty good during preseason for me, but Ola John is my biggest disappointment also, because I think out of all the players that were on a bench, aside from the guys that were injured, he got the most opportunities to actually make an impression. But
He's healthy for the most part.
But it doesn't matter.
But that's why he got the most opportunities.
He squandered those opportunities. So for me, it's a disappointment that after all these years of being with JJ, understanding, going on loan and having a chance to really think in retrospect of everything that is going on and kind of motivate himself to really make an impression on this team, he comes back, he has the most opportunities, and he just squanders them. For me, that's a big disappointment for me. And then you see Soleimani. When he's healthy, took over Ola John.
Yeah, and he played quite well, considering not very fit, little rusty. He still played better in spurts than Ola John did. So,
where did Derlei fall in that list? How many votes did he get? Did he get any votes at all? I mean, because technically he was our third striker.
He's second in terms of disappointment. Derlei was, I think, so poor he got so few minutes is what it came down to. So,
but that's got to be a huge disappointment. No, I mean, wasn't he one of the top goal scorers last year in the Campeonato?
Second best.
Second. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's disappointing. I mean, obviously coming in and at the beginning of the season there was no Jonas. He was the second guy in line after Lima,
and he had some opportunities too.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, that guy could definitely get some votes.
But maybe he's on a 3-year. It's a lot different for a guy that's been with the team and getting the opportunities and not making it than a guy who's just come in into a new system.
So now we got double standard. So
I'm not saying double standard.
It's the same thing with the most improved. I mean, now we got double standard.
No, I'm just saying that it's a lot harder.
No, it is.
You know, you kind of give the benefit of the doubt to a guy.
New tactics, exactly. new surroundings, new teammates.
Was he a disappointment? Yeah, for me it was. For a guy that was the second best scorer, it was a disappointment. But we've discussed this here. We didn't know what kind of a system Maritimo would play with. For all we know, Maritimo could have been playing just for him. The team played for him to score. But now you put different players around him. It's a totally different story. Revelation player. For me, revelation player at Samaris, definitely. But here we go. We get into that same argument. What, $10 million player? He's a revelation player for you?
He's not a revelation player for me.
So,
not at all.
Who's your revelation player?
I hate to keep pointing at one guy. But
who's your revelation player?
I could go with two guys.
Go.
Jonas, that's obvious. To me, at least. For me, it wasn't like but exactly.
It's
Hold on.
I understand.
No, he came at zero. You have for me, you have a very, very valid point because we paid nothing for him.
Yeah, so to me,
it was a bit of a gamble.
To me, it was him and the other guy, revelation again, because I don't think anyone here, with the exception of Timo and Nelson, anyone expected nothing from this guy. That's a revelation. Jardel. I mean, like you said, Samaris, 10 million. You better be expecting something from Salvio Gaetan. You knew what you were getting. Pizzi wasn't that impressive. You got to go with guys that were impressive.
Yeah, but Pizzi went from being a guy that was extra.
That's fine. And I just gave you. You want to tell me he's a revelation? Fine, but I think other guys were better. So I can't put him in that list.
Yeah.
I can't put him number one. I can put him on the list, but I can't put him ahead of a guy like Jardel. Jardel, to me, was the most improved by far. Okay, and he was a revelation because I don't think any of us expected this.
Yeah, but even
that's what a revelation means.
But wait a second, if you take away the fact that Pizzi has never played at a center midfield,
he wasn't impressive
at a center midfield role, and he was able to step in and kind of play half of the season
I think
in that role and helping us with the push for the championship. You don't think that's kind of a revelation?
No, revelation. Listen, I guess the only thing that was a revelation to me is the fact that he could play that position. I mean, but then again, you could put so many. Listen, revelation, Talisca. Wow, that guy. We didn't know nothing about him. In 10 games, he had 9 goals. That's a revelation.
And then what?
But that's fine. But what did Pizzi do?
Pizzi,
did Pizzi stand out?
no, but
So that's not a revelation. So that's not a revelation.
But Chris, in the Portuguese league, the same way you measure Jardel, which that is his level, Pizzi didn't. He was missing maybe in the big games, but against all the other teams, he was very good.
He was good. I don't know about very good. He was good. Jardel was very good.
This is all opinions, man.
Steve, who's your revelation player, dude?
Pizzi. I mean, a guy who I never would have thought to play central midfield. A guy who probably himself never thought he was going to play central midfield. You come in and you lose one of your most influential players, albeit having an off-color year. Enzo wasn't good basically all year, or whatever the half year he was with us. But one of the most important players left in our squad. You lose him. You plug in Pizzi, a guy who's hasn't played 8, and you never really miss a beat. I mean, was he good against Porto? No. Has he been good probably the past couple 2-3 games? Probably not. But from the moment he got that spot from Talisca to about the Porto match, he was 7 out of 10 almost every match. How much more can you ask for a guy who's never played the spot?
Jardel was an 8 every game, and Jardel did it from the beginning of this again.
But Jardel, for me, he was at the Jardel is at that level. For me, he's
shut up,
very
Steve.
good defender for the Portuguese league.
Steve, shut up. You telling me you thought Jardel was this good? Because when I was saying he's shit,
I still think he's shit, dude.
Let's go back to them pods. When I was saying he's shit, I didn't see you standing. No, guys, relax.
Dude, I still think he's shit.
No, but he wasn't though. I still think he's shit, but he wasn't. Let's not give these guys these awards and rate these guys off of what I think they are. Let's give them off of their merit. Let's give them off of what they did. And I can't give it to a Pizzi that did it for 3 months as opposed to a guy that did it for 8 out of the 10 months. I can't. I mean, to me, consistency wins out.
But revelation is supposed to be a surprise to you.
And Jardel wasn't a surprise?
Not to me. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Man, roll back the tape. Roll back the tape. When I was shitting on Jardel, where was Steve defending him?
He wasn't.
Okay, then.
Wasn't.
So then you're wrong.
I'm still
you didn't
not
think this is what he was. But I am.
I'm still not defending him. I think Jardel is a very good center back for the Portuguese league, but he has a lot of limitations. Just like Pizzi has limitations. But I was not expecting
it wasn't a surprise
this from Pizzi.
Jardel wasn't a surprise for me.
I shocked the shit out of me. Bro, me and you were watching the game upstairs against Porto, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was a surprise. Come on, bro.
Nah, it was I mean, I understand what Steve is saying, that Jardel's level for the Portuguese league, that's a surprise.
But that's what we're rating him on. That's what we're rating all these players on.
But exactly. But revelation is a surprise. So Jardel is playing at the level I expected him to play at after 3 years with JJ.
I agree.
You guys are wrong.
I agree.
No, you don't agree. Go back to the tape. None of you, when I shitted on him every day, Nelson and these guys will kill him in Timo. None of you guys stepped. Nah, Chris, you're wrong. The guys.
I'm still not stepping up for him.
But he was impressive.
No, he wasn't.
Oh my God.
He was consistent.
He was consistent.
He wasn't impressive.
It was what I expected from Jardel.
I don't think Jardel was impressive.
To me, whether you want to say he's a 7 or 8, I thought he was a 3. So to me, that's impressive. I didn't expect. Listen, the dude played the most minutes for this Benfica team this season.
Yes.
To me, I didn't expect that.
All the more credit for Jorge Jesus. That with a player of Jardel's quality, we're still champions.
Exactly. Well, you know what? We agree on something. We agree on that, Steve. We definitely agree on that. Pizzi, come on. The guy is such a revelation that he'll be looking for a new club in the offseason.
João Gomes said that he was robbed by Bebe when he was 8-9 years old. He took his lunch money. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's
it's very believable, regardless if it's true or not.
That he was a bully. João, good story, man.
Well, good story. We want to hear these are Rob. What do you mean, Rob?
You robbed him. You robbed him of his lunch money. I don't know. Saint Scrooge, Saint Scrooge. I don't know.
Fudeto popsicle.
But all right, last one. MVP. I think probably we're all in agreement. Could have thrown JJ into this category too, because I think that he was perhaps the one guy that has the biggest to do. I know the players play the games, but I think that JJ probably has the biggest to do with this bicampeonato. But if you go to games, I think we're all in agreement. Jonas was completely unbelievable, lights out, as Chris likes to say it. But I don't know. You agree, Jonas? Steve? Chris?
Yeah, there's no argument, I don't think.
Is this even a category?
MVP. Yeah, he ran away. We ran away with it.
There was a point in time where we were missing Gaetan in January, I think it was, and we were like, you know what, man, this guy's very important to us. But Jonas just takes it. I mean, 31 goals out of 35 matches, plus all the work he does off the field. Like we've said time and time again, MVP. There's just, for me, he's going to be MVP of the Portuguese league completely. Like he's going to win whatever that trophy is called that Matic won last year. He's going to win it.
Gaetan makes the team go, but this dude carried a team on his back.
Yeah.
Two totally different. I mean, both guys very key for this Benfica team. But without Jonas, Gaetan could have been on his A game, and Benfica still wouldn't have won the title.
All right.
Agree.
All right, so that's it. That's our awards. Some disagreements there,
Yeah,
and obviously we all have our opinions because we live this club very passionately, and obviously we're knowledgeable about football, and each one of us has had our own experiences with the club and also watching football. So we all have our different opinions. So just really quick, one thing to close up shop here on the season. I was thinking about it, Steve. When you look back at this season, just as maybe a memory 2-3 years down the road, what's the one thing that you'll remember?
That JJ won the league with a team that wasn't of the quality of the teams that he's had in the past, where he didn't even win the league. If you're looking at it as a whole, if you want to look at just one moment of probably one or two of Jonas's goals that were just phenomenal, but as the season as a whole, I think we're going to remember the season as JJ basically winning us the league. Yeah. A lot of people don't agree with me, but there's a lot of people that do agree with me. Porto had a squad that on paper, player for player, talent for talent was better than ours, but JJ made that a more equal playing field, and he ended up winning the league because of it. So
yeah, Chris,
that's the way I look at it.
Don't kill me. What I'm gonna take from this season is Lima missing a penalty and Pasta Fry. I'm still not over that game.
You're gonna look back.
We won the game despite that. Benfica didn't put the pedal to the metal. We kind of looked like lackadaisical. Porto had slipped up, and JJ said, "Tá bom, tá fixe." And then Popsicle had to commit the penalty to take the pressure away from Lima. Last minute. That game still bothers the shit out of me. So obviously, I'm gonna take the fact that I'm gonna remember that. That one I'm gonna remember forever. But all joking aside, though, I think, like Steve said, JJ, phenomenal job. And again, I think I said this at the beginning of the show. You asked me back in August, man, and I'm hiding, hiding. This is gonna be ugly. Porto, restocked the squad, brought in. Whether you thought they're good players or not, at least they were big names from big clubs. Yeah. Players with a lot of hype. Benfica's losing players. We're getting slapped around by Arsenal, slapped around by everyone else in all these preseason tournaments. And it was going to look bad. It was looking really bad. And then obviously Benfica wins first game of the year for the first time in like 7 seasons or whatever it is. So you're like, oh, okay. All right. And then all of a sudden, you add Jonas, Benfica starts to play a little bit better, and it just, snowballed into a very successful season. So that's the impressive thing with ship players, like Steve likes to say. JJ did a phenomenal job, and not just winning the Campeonato. We also won the Taça de Cerveja. Say what you want, talk crap all you want about that Taça, but everyone plays to win it. You know what I mean? And Benfica obviously did a better job than anyone else in that Campeonato.
I'm with you. I think that in a preseason where we went and got a guy from Brazil whose last name or whose name rhymes with Patanishka, then you got a guy that you signed for 10 million from Greece that we've never really heard of. Then we got the Julius Caesar, who supposedly has just eaten eight goals, seven goals from Germany, and everybody's saying, "No, this guy is old. He's done. He's finished." Then we got a guy that was problematic at Valencia that had issues in the locker room.
For free, which means any other team could have made a run at him.
Yeah.
And we also signed the other kid, man. And I want to mention this kid's name because he might have a little say next season. We signed him from Santos. What's the kid's name? Andrade, Steve? What's the kid's name?
Vitor Andrade.
Listen, he came to Benfica. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he has a guarantee that he's going to play somewhere. Oh, you think so, Steve?
No, I haven't been impressed when I've watched him play, to be honest, dude.
Okay.
I just think that after the season,
we did sign him in the offseason.
Yeah.
Another guy that came.
After the results in preseason and after the non-big names that we brought, or the big names that we brought that were supposedly at the end of their careers, I think that we did exceptionally well. I think that we're going to look back and say that JJ had a lot to do with this win. Also, I'm going to remember Jonas. I'm going to remember Jonas playing less games and almost beating Jackson Martinez for the title of best goal scorer, which is, it's a title that has a lot to do with a team effort also, but you still have to put them away. But
I'll sign up for that every single year. Let Portistas, Portuguistas win the Pichichi and let Benfica win the Campeonato all day. I'll do that every year, year in, year out.
That's definitely something that I'm gonna remember. I think that the early season expectations, even the preseason, were very low, and I remember that one pod that we did that was so depressing that we were all depressed about what was going on, and there was no news, and we weren't signing any players. We were stuck with all these guys that really stunk up the place, and it was just depressing. I remember doing that pod, and we
kept losing player each week.
Depressing.
JJ came out and said, "We lose another guy, I'm leaving too." That's how bad it got, guys.
Yeah,
it got that bad.
So I that's the one thing that I'll remember is that the JJ had a lot to do, and perhaps team unity. When you look back at that title that Trapattoni won, that was something also that a team that perhaps on paper wasn't the best team in the championship, yet they were able to manage and pull it off.
That was Montoro's magic.
Yeah, and I think that when you look back at this team, we were the most consistent team in the championship. You could say that. We also didn't have European competitions to deal with. And we had a squad that was very united. We lost one of the crucial pieces midway through the season in Enzo, and we were still able to hold on, and we won the championship by 3 points. So that's quite a feat. I think that I think I'll remember this one for a long time, especially being the B.
And the fact, and also one thing that we'll take from this, we went to Stade de Luz in March, watched the Braga game. That's something I'll never forget. Another phenomenal season. Yeah. But listen, I'm a little preoccupied. Steve looks down. I think I pissed him off. Good thing is we're getting a break here for a month or so, and you got enough time to get over it. I'm sorry, Steve. Scupa lá, amor.
Steve, anything you wanted to add, bro? Just in about the season, just some.
I just think right now we are all feeling a little bit vulnerable with this whole JJ staying or going thing.
We already told you, Steve. He's staying. 2 years. Well, it depends.
+1. Now, Timo sent me, Steve. I know we were getting you to talk, but you getting contrary reports. Timo sent me a report from JN, Jornal Noticias, whatever.
Esquece, he said merda.
Okay, but whatever. And now,
I was saying that he's close to Sporting.
Yeah, he's close to the Sporting than he is to Benfica.
I don't really believe that. I'm just saying the club was here before JJ. The club will be here after JJ.
Yeah.
JJ, as great as a coach as he was, he may have reached his limit. I mean, he's been found wanting the Champions League. We've lost 2 Europa League finals. This might be the best JJ will ever give us. So I'm always known to be pessimistic, but try to think optimistically. Yes, we might be getting a shittier coach, but we might also find somebody who could take us to another level that we don't necessarily know yet. So Just one way to look
and
at it.
that can pronounce the players' names correctly.
Exactly.
Cristiano, anything you wanted to add to the season?
I mean, bro, I want JJ back. Steve, forget that all optimistic stuff. I think
Chris,
back.
Best option. Yes, I agree with you. But to the point of losing sleep or being really upset if he goes, I won't do that.
No, I will, because look back at what this club was before we got him. I mean, the one thing he brought to this club is stability. And, you know, year in, year out, what you're going to get. Yeah, you get a little, you know, Falca through it here and there, some things you don't agree with and whatever. But in the end, I think his plan ultimately works out. And he knows the house, he knows the system, he knows the Portuguese league. And yes, we all want European success, but let's be realistic, man. I think I've said it over and over here on the podcast. Benfica are so far away from winning a Champions League, it's not even funny. And so I'll keep taking the Campeonatos, and that's the one thing he knows is how to navigate the Portuguese league with his eyes closed. And I'm not sure that there's another coach out there. I mean, you can name a big name coach, bring Pep to Portugal. He's not going to know Portuguese league the way that this guy knows. He won't know how to navigate it. And so it's the one thing that you could obviously hang your hat on is that JJ will have his teams ready. And it's kind of like Mourinho. Say what you want about Mourinho, but he knows how to navigate a season. He's not great. With certain techniques and certain, parking the bus and all that stuff. It's boring football, but the guy is about results. And that's kind of like what JJ's done here in Portugal. Yeah, we disagree with the way he comes out against Porto and Sporting in these big games, but you know what? A draw is a draw. He's getting positive results. And in the end, he's hanging up banners. He's adding more trophies to the Cosmo de Millão. And so to me, that's what I'm preoccupied about. Not saying that we can't get, a better coach tactically, but a better coach in Portugal that understands the league. I'm not sure. I mean, look at this guy Lopetegui. He comes over with a great resume. He didn't understand the Portuguese league. He didn't at the beginning of the season. And I think, Steve, you said this numerous times. You swap coaches, the Porto wins the Campeonato by 10 points. Why? Because JJ understands Portuguese football and he knows how to go into the Panafios, into the Orocas, into the Beira-Mars and Stubos and whatever, even though Beira-Mar's second division. But you know what I mean? He knows how to navigate the waters in Portugal. No. Lopetegui didn't, with a much better roster.
That's why I've always said that if at a point that we also talked about with JJ were to get replaced because he wasn't doing all that great, I was always in favor of a Portuguese coach.
I could care less about
because I think that a Portuguese coach, like you said, Chris, is going to know how to navigate. He's going to know the intricacies of the Portuguese league. He's going to know what teams do what and certain stadiums, what to expect in certain stadiums. And I've always been of that opinion that a Portuguese coach is much better.
What Portuguese coach has won in Portugal is Benfica going to go out and get? Everyone else is going to be a bunch of rejects from other teams that haven't won the Portuguese. So to me, I'll take a better tactical manager from outside than a dude from inside that's never really won anything in Portugal.
No, I think that currently there's a lot of good Portuguese coaches on the market.
I like Steve.
I think you misunderstood what I was trying to say, but that's fine. JJ is the best we can get. I'm not gonna say otherwise. But if the man does not want to sign the contract that we're offering to him, or if he's got better offers elsewhere, the best thing for JJ and the best thing for us is that he stays. Personally, that's what I think. But I'm not going to cry about it if he leaves, is what I was trying to say, because the man is a fantastic coach, but he's not perfect.
No.
That's what I was trying to get at.
I'm not going to be bummed out if he leaves. I think that he's given enough. And like exactly. You said, I think that he's at the ceiling, and maybe it's time to bring in somebody who could take us to the next level. And I don't know if that guy will take us to the next level, but we should aspire to more.
Just food for thought. I don't think anybody has gotten the budget that JJ has got, nor has he got the continuity that JJ's got. Whether or not JJ's a better coach from X, Y, or Z that's been at the club before, I don't think anyone else has been afforded what JJ has been afforded. So
let's keep this in mind. He's got the continuity because he's been putting up results.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you put up results and you win, you get that extra leash, that extra extension on the leash. To
3 out of 6 is pretty good, Chris. It's pretty good.
Compared to the last 30 years, it's phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's why he's been granted the time. And and even the like you said, the budget. But I don't think the budget has to do with JJ. I think the budget is a club thing. I think it's a Luis Fleet Vieira thing, and whoever all these bullshit agents are involved in all these players' transactions. I think that's what it is. Again, you could bring in a different coach. Maybe JJ want player A and the new coach will want player B. But I think the budget is the budget. I think the club's still going to spend the same amount of money. I don't think they're spending more money because JJ is demanding. I think now, today, as we speak, as they sit here and negotiate for a new deal, I think that might be some stipulation that JJ is saying, you know what? I want more say in the budget. I want more say in the player transaction. Maybe that might be some of the haggling points. We don't know. But I think right now he's done enough for this club to definitely request that say in the player movement because he's put up results, and when you put up results, you get away with things.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. So anyway, I think that's about it for us.
Before we go, let's just go over a couple of tweets.
Let's go over a couple of tweets.
I'm just saying.
Chris knows the break is coming. He wants to talk until September.
I mean, you want to go over any?
No, I apologize, but if we can't go but Chris, if you have a particular couple of ones that you want to answer, that's fine.
Not answer. I think there's some, I mean, I don't want to say some are good, some are bad, but Timo says Campeonato before UCL every effing time.
Yeah,
and that's just the reality of it. I mean,
I think that's what our dimension is at. Is that I mean, we don't have the money to compete with the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas and the Bayern Munichs of the world.
And it's always the same PSG. Four. It's always the same four. But this year you throw a wrench in there with freaking Juventus, but. It's always, big English club, Bayern Munich, Barcelona,
but even
Real Madrid.
Juventus, we don't have the capital to compete with Juventus.
Meg throws out that she definitely agrees with Steve today. You guys are some type of love fest. She agrees with everything you say. And Jardel has been in Portugal with his studio, Olhanense, and now Benfica, and he's now good. He should be at least 2 times better, in my opinion, I guess. If I think he should be much better, and I don't think he can improve as some Pizzi and Samaris can. So I guess... she has her vote for those 2 guys, but
yeah,
that's cool. I mean, and then obviously Joao and everyone else that contributed, man. I could just go up and down the list. Thank you guys for a very remarkable year, man. Memorable year. We appreciate all your support. I know this is your job, but I like to talk, as you can tell.
That's fine. No, I mean, I wanted to mention everyone personally, but I know I'm going to forget somebody. So in order not to offend anybody or not to forget anyone, I'm not going to mention anyone.
No,
personally.
just meet us in March 2017, and we'll thank you all.
Yeah,
in
but
person.
You guys know who you are. You hear every week. You interact with us. You retweet us. You support the podcast. You tell people to follow us, and it's a great thing. And I've said many times before that it's a very humbling experience to have all you guys support something that was started as a hobby, and that is such a small part of people's every week life, when you could tune in and listen to us talk about Benfica, just a couple guys, normal guys off the street, and talk about
Speak
Benfica.
For yourself, normal guys.
We're really we're really humbled that you have supported us and you enjoy what we do.
Hopefully we can meet up at some of these Benfica games here in the Northeast of America. And since you don't want to name some guys by name, I will. I want to thank Mario. Obviously, the great Peggy and Marco. You guys do a phenomenal job. You guys joined us here on the pod, and it's been a privilege to sit here and share the microphones with you guys. Nelson, another guy
contributes every week.
Timo. I mean,
I don't want to.
Laura. I mean, whatever. I mean,
that's why.
I don't want to. I don't want to forget.
No, but I wanted to mention those guys by name personally because I think they do a lot of content.
Yeah, I think you guys, whether you're here every week or not, but I mean, if you're pressing a button on your phone, or if you're going on your YouTube page and you're watching us and you're listening to us, that's the support that we enjoy and that we need. So, I mean, you all know who you are. And, I'd love to mention each one of you by name, but I'm sure I'll forget somebody, and I don't want anybody to be offended by the people who I forget. I just want to thank everyone that's been part of the podcast this season, all the guests that we've had, like Chris says, Mario, Laura, Neil,
crazy ass Neil,
Patrick,
Timo, Patrick was
Kevin,
great thing, Kevin,
Wow.
The little dude from the Duck dude. What's his name from England?
Mr. Duckstep.
Duckstep. My man.
Yeah, all
Pedro.
those.
I mean, whatever. All you guys. You guys
all
done a
those guys,
spectacular
yeah.
job.
Marco.
And if you're upset that we didn't mention your name, send all the hate mail to Steve. He loves that type of stuff.
Yeah. So let me just tell everyone what's gonna go on. We were now gonna shut down for the next 3 weeks or so, maybe 4 weeks. I believe that Benfica comes back July 1st. I believe is July or there or abouts when the first day of preseason will be. We will be on the first Tuesday after the teams, after the players show themselves at the Seychelles. We will be on that Tuesday. After that, we will also be, after that, we will be at some of the games in North America. So if you guys are going to some of the games, let us know.
Yeah, reach out to us.
We'll get together. We'll drink some beers on you guys. There
you go.
And that's about it. And I apologize if we're kind of letting people down that we're going to be out. But what I've been working on is I've been putting together some highlights from all the podcasts of this season, and I'm trying to put at least one episode, if not more, a week of just recorded stuff, just little bits,
greatest moments of Benfica podcast,
bits and discussions that we were having. Some funny stuff, and hopefully everybody will enjoy that. And
but fear not, if Benfica do sign Messi or Ronaldo, we'll have like one of those breaking news type of podcasts. So don't worry about it. We'll keep you guys all posted. But in the meantime, check us out on Twitter, Tencio10, Steve
Santos 6.
Steve Santos. I left the 0 out this time. Steve Santos 6, Benfica podcast.
Yeah.
We'll be there to answer all your questions.
It's been great, man.
Come buy us beer.
It's definitely been a great year, great season, and I'm glad that you guys were along for the ride and to enjoy and to support us in this little thing that we do here. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you everybody in about a month or so.
Let's spread the word about the Benfica podcast in Rumo 35, baby. We'll all meet up here, same place, same time.
Steve, you want to say some words? You're awfully quiet.
I was just going to say goodbye, but
goodbye.
Not
goodbye. We're coming back
until next year, and hopefully we'll get to meet some of the guys and girls throughout these games in North America and have a good time.
Well, Sergio Jafost.
Manto Protetor.
Want to throw out your name? He's asking where's his name.
Jafost.
Ciao.
All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for supporting us. As always, don't forget to visit our friends at planetbenfica.co.uk, benficapodcast.com, at Tencio10, at Benfica Podcast, at Steve Santos 6, and all that other good stuff. Thanks, Nelson, for running that Facebook page and the halftime headlines new feature this season. So thank you very much, and appreciate everybody, and have a good weeks off.
Benfica.
See ya.
Bye.